Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be taking a look at some custom cards that I've made for Nemesis, which is one of my favorite games. It's like being in one of the Alien movies. I mean, look at this, look at that guy. They're making no bones about the experience that they're trying to recreate in this game. So it's a lot of fun. It's a really good, tense game. And I'm somebody who can never leave well enough alone. I like to make custom variants and expansions of my own for the games that I love to play. So I've done that here. One of the things that came out after Nemesis was released were a set of crawl cards. And they were really hard for me to get my hands on. It was really hard to find the deck of crawl cards anywhere where I could buy them. I have since bought them, so I have them, but I also made some of my own. So these are the crawl cards, and the backs are all instructions on how to use the crawl deck, and it lets the players enter the technical corridors, which the aliens are using. They're moving around in them, and I figure, all right, if this is how big our aliens are, and these are how big the survivors are, there's no reason why these guys cannot also be using those technical corridors. So I like the concept of the crawl deck. So this is one of the cards that's in the official crawl deck, an egg. So it lets you perform a pick up heavy object action, cost of 1 card to pick up an egg. And if you do, then you get a contamination card. So if you need an egg for one of your objectives, this is an interesting way to get it. But I created a bunch of others. So this is an ammo one, lets you just get more ammo. Ammo, very hard to come by in the game. Oops, this is where you're going to add a malfunction marker to any connecting room to that technical corridor that doesn't have one, or a fire marker to one that does. And you actually get to choose, but it's choosing the lesser of two evils. This one is followed. You have an encounter in the room where you exit, so yikes. Confusing tunnels. Exit the technical corridors in a room with the other color entrance. So if you're entering the red, you're exiting the green, which normally you don't get to do. We have a carcass, so you can pick up a heavy object to find an intruder carcass. This one is blocked. Return to the room where you were in when you entered the technical corridor. So, found the issue. This is, you may perform a repair action, cost of 1 card, to remove a malfunction marker from any connecting room, and a couple more. So I've made a bunch of these just because I like the variety. I wanted to also mess around with the ratio of good things that could happen, bad things that could happen, neutral things that could happen. You know, I've added a couple more. This one just says clear, you know, nothing happens. So you're definitely taking a risk when you enter the technical corridors, but sometimes there's some good stuff in there, sometimes they're bad, and I wanted more variety in the bad things as well, just to keep things interesting and thematic. The other thing that I messed around with a lot were the objective cards. So the objectives that were in the game, some of them I thought are fine, but others I wasn't really crazy about. I don't like the whole player number 3 must die, you know, and you can't really actively kill the players. So it's just kind of a weird thing to throw at somebody, especially first time you're playing. So I wanted to have more of the cards that the players weren't necessarily opposing each other, but, you know, if you've got conflicting objectives, that creates for more interesting situations. So that's what a lot of these do. So this is actually one of the ones from the game. This is one of the ones that I made, and those turned out pretty good. I mean, it's pretty hard to distinguish one from the other, so I'm really happy with how these turned out. So this one is Adios Muchacho, set coordinates for deep space and ensure at least 2 engines are damaged. So that's going to make somebody's day pretty bad. Bring back proof. That's this one. You're going to send the signal and then bring an egg with you on the escape pod. I need to live. It's to survive by any means necessary. So that's pretty straightforward. Get away clean. So make sure no one is contaminated and the survivors escape. So that the pressure is on with that one. Salvage the ship. No fire markers, and you end up in hibernation. So you got to go around and put out all the fires. Decommission the ship. The ship must reach Venus with you in hibernation. So, and then there's a bunch more of these. So I did a lot of those. Those are the personal objectives. Same thing with the corporate objectives. So this is a corporate one from the game, corporate one that I made. The color is a little bit different, but otherwise they're pretty close. And again, when you're drawing them, there's not a lot of distinction between one or the next. And one of the things that we've done when we play it is we have a little variant that when you do the send the signal action, you're actually going to draw another objective card and then choose which one to keep. So you could keep your same objective. If you have a starting objective that requires you to send the signal, this is a way for you to do that. But you can always, say, all right, I've got a new message from my overlords or whoever it is, and switch things up to maybe something that is easier to achieve or is more congruent with the group and maybe not so adversarial. But also helps to cover up that. We found that when we were originally playing the game, anytime somebody went to send the signal, we're like, oh, I guess they're doing one of those terrible send the signal objectives. And there weren't that many that required it, and most of them were pretty sketchy. So I wanted to have, there's a few more in here that require you to send a signal, but it is fairly innocent. And then we just like the idea that you can use that as an action to maybe find something that's easier to achieve or more fun for you to play. So this is recover the intel. You're going to search the storage and then retain whatever item you find there. So that's pretty straightforward. You have to find the storage, but then just got to get in there and you got to search it before it's empty. Code black. The ship must not reach Earth and no player can use an escape pod. So again, it's the sort of thing where, all right, if you're launching all the escape pods so that nobody can use them, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're out to kill the other players, but you have your reasons. Chemicals. Make sure at least one character has a slime marker and survives, including you. Protect the VIP. The player to your right must survive. Uninfected. Counter espionage. Check the coordinates and at least one of the engines after they have been checked by someone else. So you're like, oh, what's going on there? And there's a bunch of those. And I also introduced a concept late in it where a number of the objectives have these symbols that correspond to the different levels of the aliens themselves, the intruders. So the way these work is that they're actually tiebreakers. So if you actually have one of these objectives that has one of these alien markers on it, and someone else has an objective that doesn't have one, and you both achieve your objectives, this one actually wins the game. So you're like, uh-oh. And then these have their own hierarchy. So if you achieve this one, but the other player achieves this one here, then this player is the one who wins the game. So it's just another little element to ratchet up the tension between the players. So I enjoy making custom cards for the game, and I kind of want them to be as seamless as possible with the other components. I guess I'm just a stickler for that. So that's what I've done. Let me know if you've made any custom components for Nemesis, because I definitely would love to take a look at that or hear more about it. I'm always making more, and as soon as I think of an idea, I start making some cards, and then to fill out a whole set of cards, I have to really start adding more and more ideas. So that's it for this one. It's a quick one on Nemesis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.